Yeah. We have made it to yet another motherfucking Monday.
Bitch, I hope the fuck you do. You'll be a dead son of a bitch, I tell you that.
And we feel like that sometimes on Monday because we just don't know how our day has gone. What's up, Arcane? Welcome, sir. Mousebong. Oh, shit. How'd I know you was going to show up? And then, I don't want to mess this person's name up. Yobelka. Yobelka. Yes. No. And I think for weeks now, people have been calling Mondays something specific. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, Mother's Milky Red Hot Chili Peppers album.
Oh, hell's bells. It's Mommy Milker's Monday. Arcane says, "Oh Lord." Mousebong's dying. And Babylon says, "My meat flaps are flapping." He's got to be fucked up. I cannot. Where did you get that from, sir?
My meat flaps are
I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, I'm picturing somebody that has just flaps, mud flaps. You know what I mean? Right.
If that's what Babylon opens with tonight, holy shit, we're in for
He
it.
did open with it though, so it's already out the bag. But
Babylon.
So I didn't think I was going to get such a huge response. So yes, it is most definitely officially another
Fuck yeah, that's fucking awesome.
You're welcome out there in Morgrot land. You guys have been, I've been calling it Malevolent Monday. I've been calling it Manic Monday. And then we've had that. So I was like, all right, it's officially going to be that then. So I thought I'd come up with a nice little present for everybody. And the comments. And then she goes, got him. That was for you, by the way, Hoof Beast. So, and then Babylon says, hells yeah. Now that we've got that out of the way and fucked you up royally, we have an album that we're going to be reviewing today. And this one is really kind of special. And this individual, whom you probably would know him from somebody such as Emperor, had a really cool article come out in Metal Injection just a few days ago. So when Hoofbeast said, let's cover the new record, I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Because after I read that and really got to know more about him, and it has a lot to do with not just his past, in the heyday of black metal when it first started, but just getting to understand his style. Like he talked a little bit about it. So, oh, Cody's in here too. Shit, when he pop in? Did you catch the shaking ass?
We can play that again.
Oh shit. Kyler says, hey there, my friends. Could use your guys' support and a good show. Someone I know personally really got under my skin today. Need booze tonight. Well, I don't know. Should we play it again?
Yes. Yes.
just for Kyler there. Oh, I love this. Babylon says if we do it on a Tuesday, it could be called Taint Tickler Tuesday. Oh, apparently Cody is with us. Yeah. When did he get in there? There's been so many comments since I played our official theme song for the show. Everyone's saying that was fucking perfect. And then Arcane says, well, why the fuck not? Okay, I guess you guys want a double shot of...
Got him!
But we're here to... Cody says Taint Tickler. He's dying. Man, we haven't even got started yet, and we're having a fucking blast. This is why I say this show and all the shows we do here on the Great Morgrot Entertainment is therapy, man. You could be having the worst day ever, and us two assholes are going to make you die. In a good way, of laughter. Oh, shit. I'm glad to hear that. Kyler says, oh, man, best way to cheer someone up. And Arcane said, laughing my ass off, officially the best YouTube live. We like to hear that kind of shit. All right. That's why we do what we do, man. Our love of metal, horror, and making asses out of ourselves. Or showing them. So we're talking about, and I want to make sure I pull it up real quick. This guy who goes by, or is this his actual name, Ihsahn?
It's not his actual name, but it's his kind of stage black metal.
His
name.
Stage persona. Gotcha. Go ahead.
His other name, his real name is pretty long.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Most Norwegian names are not short. Not saying anything against that. They're just not short. And this is the album that we're covering because I'm pretty sure it's just self-titled, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I was like, yeah, I looked everywhere, never saw a name for it. So, but anyways, we're just going to go ahead and delve right into it there because in the first 8 minutes of the show, it was a fucking blast already. So there's no need for a commercial. Let's just go ahead and jump in. So yes, we're talking about the album Ihsahn, self-titled. I don't know how many of you have heard of a group called Old Man's Child. Now, I'm sure Hoof Beast is probably, and some of you out there may have heard of them. Very heavy symphonic black metal, but nothing quite like this. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of, and it's really weird, but awesome at the same time. So my first thoughts after listening to this record is the perfect marriage of orchestral classical music, avant-garde, and black metal, and just downright some of the most beautiful melodic pieces that I ever thought would. There's a track on here that I'll talk about later that just completely fucking blew me away. I was like, first thought that came to my head was ballsy. Because to do such a beautiful fucking song like that, in the world of black metal, you'd probably get shamed and like stoned and everything else, but there's just some moments that are just mind-boggling on this record. What was your first impression, Hoofbeast?
Kind of like what you said to me, like this is not symphonic black metal. Symphonic black metal is black metal with the orchestra way in the back and kind of supporting it in a little way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, like, to me, this is equal parts prog, black metal, and orchestral symphonic music. And there are times, I just love this guy because he put his ego, he put all of the character of black metal in. He was willing to put it and give it a backseat for a while to let the strings kind of play and kind of take the melody, even kind of heavy stuff at times. It's not all the time. Most of it's going to be guitars. Most of it to me is proggy, and there are two prog bands that I think about a lot. I hear Between the Buried and Me throughout this, and Opeth, a little bit more heavy on Opeth. But Between the Buried and Me kind of comes in Twice Born, which has kind of clown car beats and clown car music kind of in the that's funny.
Babylon, you've officially got us with the taint tickler. It's forever ingrained in everyone's minds tonight. Way to go.
But like what I hear in this, and some of the songs, I think one is 9 minutes. There's one that's over 7 minutes. There are real short, like straight orchestral pieces, like opening. Like there's one where I can just see Bambi kind of stepping out into the meadow, out of the woods. And
right.
We'll talk about that a little bit later in here. But I don't want anybody listening to this album to come in thinking they're going to hear extreme metal or avant-garde. This is avant-garde, but it is a totally different type of avant-garde. There's a little bit of kind of dissonant, but it's dissonant in an offbeat kind of prog way. It's really proggy. And if you've listened to his album, I think it was 2016's Arctis, and then he's EPs come out. I think there were 3 EPs come out. I love Arctis, and that was experimental. It was proggy, but this is a whole new level. I don't think that this is an album that people can have one listen through and jump right into it right away. Like, oh, that's so fucking awesome. Now, some people might be. If you have a music background,
right,
and stuff like that, possibly. But for me, right away, I appreciated what he was doing, and I really loved how he brought the orchestra into it in a different way that I've never heard anybody do before. It's so prominent and so tastefully and elegantly done. It's an eccentric album.
Very much so. How I kind of, put it together myself is I get where you're saying it's proggy, but then again, so is orchestra music in general. There's so many twists and turns rhythmically that maybe that kind of does give a little bit of the prog flavor to it. But I really think it's just in this is actual composing. Like this to him was his magnus opus. Like this could be performed. I mean, honestly, even though there's black metal involved, I mean, I could see a ballet doing this shit. A very dark ballet, I might add, which is awesome. And actually, I wouldn't mind seeing that now that I thought of that. But yeah, I mean, my first thoughts were, this is like Old Man's Child meets Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, only demented. So, I mean, there are undeniably great groove breakdowns. Obviously, there is blast through there. There, lots of very appropriate filling. It's not overdone because obviously when you have that much orchestral strings and stuff, really whacking at the traditional band setup for this kind of band, you don't want to overdo it. So I really appreciated that. Um, One of my biggest issues though is that you're right. The orchestral side of things is extremely well done, extremely strong, though, too, at the same time, which is where I feel some of the guitar riffing is getting lost in the mix. Um, and I did use my earbuds, even though I played it off my phone. Um, it's still so prominent in there because when you have a guitar leads playing the same run as an entire string section, it's sometimes hard to discern between the two. To that you can hear those flavors. Sometimes I feel like it does get lost. Other times I feel like it's just right. Especially evident in Pilgrimage to Oblivion when the orchestral parts are accenting with the guitar playing the same run, but then it kind of takes a backseat. Then the guitars kind of come back. I think that was a really good balance between the two. It didn't, overshadow too much. My problem though is it, and I think this is just indicative of a lot of recording engineers in Norway, that the drums are flat. The snare drum is very flat. Does it kind of pierce? Yes. But it's like they're trying to get crack without the drummer cracking the snare drum. That's the problem. So they brought the bright factor up, but the drum sound itself is flat. So when he's blast beating, you're getting like more of like a shh kind of sound instead of like individual attack.
Yeah.
Bass drums are really good. The cymbals, and I'm always like the big advocate for cymbals being nice and able to hear attack. There's too much cymbal a lot of times. And I wonder if it was because he likes the sound of a suspended cymbal that you would find in an orchestra setting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The big crash.
So, yeah, because you hear a ton of wash and a ton of bright tone. You don't hear a warm tone. And if you notice throughout this record, the cymbals are very bright. And his voice, God damn it. Let's talk about that for a second. The vocals are phenomenal. It's not an annoying kind of black metal, vocal at all. I just can't describe it. It's like sometimes raspy, but you can tell that he really knows how to use his throat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not overbearing. He's not all over the place.
It kind of fits the music because the music isn't overbearing. It's not
Right.
extreme, and in an aggressive way. I think it fits it quite well. A lot of times it's almost spoken. It's spoken,
Mm-hmm.
but raspy and delivered. So like if you're used to normal black metal vocals, it's a little on the thin and maybe perhaps strained side,
Mm-hmm.
will, but I think it works. It kind of fits with everything just right. And what you said
And
about
it's fresh.
yeah, and what you said about the orchestral strings kind of taking over the riff over the guitars, I so I listened to it 5 times over since I heard the first 2 songs that were released like a couple of weeks ago. I listened to those.
Mm-hmm.
And then since Friday, I started listening to it, and I listened to it 5 times since then. And so I was aware of that as well. But I noticed a clever thing, and I think it's really in the mix. He'll let that guitar kind of carry the first part of that riff, of the black metal riff, and then he kind of allows the orchestra to take over with the strings. And I thought that was really brilliant. And I'm really
Mm-hmm.
and the more I listen to it, the more grateful I am for that. Not because it takes away the heavy, but because it, but because nobody's done it like that before, and it's refreshing in a way.
Very much so. And to what just happened? What the hell? Damn
Yeah.
it! Satan said, "Give it back."
We'll just go like this for the rest of the night.
Right. You are now the Black Pope.
It is so slick.
But yeah, and I absolutely heard that also, very evident on the track of The Distance Between Us. It's got almost like a thrash vibe. Yeah, it's on, not off. So and the guitar will go like this, do this little run and then just go jump, 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 very, staccato. And for those of you out there, staccato means very quick when you're hitting the string. They're just quick hits. You're not letting it ring out. And it's just going jun, 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 jun. And then over top of that, you have the orchestral parts singing more. And I thought that was brilliant. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Let's see here. Mousebong says the heavy strings just add to the grandiose sound. It does. It does. But I don't know. Maybe it could be my traditional listening ear that says when there's a more involved guitar part, especially during a blast, I would still want to hear it. And I've always said that's been one of the problems that Cradle of Filth has. Even Old Man's Child had that problem too, until they pulled in Dimmu Borgir's guitarist. And then he somehow was able to shred through the onslaught of the orchestra parts behind him. So, but like I said, though, in retrospect, there are other songs on here where the balance is there. So naturally, those are the ones I'm really digging. And we talked a little bit about those interludes, those little shorter tracks. Let me see if I got it. Hold on one second. So sorry.
Anima Extraneae.
That's the one. That one. There's another one that's only 2 minutes and 48 seconds.
Service Venator. That's the opening track.
It must have been that one. The Anima Extraneae.
Yeah.
If I'm even saying that correctly. But it's just the strings, nothing else. And I thought for an album like this, for a song like that to show up, I thought was extremely creative, ballsy, and you're really getting into the mind of the artist at this point. This album is literally just one orchestral piece that has different movements. I don't know if you would agree, especially everybody out there in Morgrot land, if you've heard this record. And then there's the excellent what was that one called?
So the instrumentals it's the first track.
It was The Distance Between Us.
And then the last track have instrumentals on them, and they're all very different. The second,
yeah.
The second one is the Anima Extraneae. That is the one where it kind of sounds like Bambi and Mama have walked out of the woods and into the pasture. It's really beautiful, and it's a really short one. It's a very gentle orchestral piece.
Yep, that's the one, Mousebong. Absolutely correct. And let's talk about the amazingly beautiful, clean guitar as it's playing underneath the strings. That one was just almost kind of reminded me of some of the King Diamond stuff. like the earlier King Diamond stuff, when there would be like maybe just Andy LaRock playing acoustic guitar, but you have these brilliant orchestral keys behind it. And these sound so much more real. I actually wonder if he didn't pull in a small orchestra to do these parts, because they don't strike me as being done on the keyboard. But then again, we're in 2024, and technology is they've upped their game so much on the natural sounds of different uh, instruments that it could be done. It really could be done that way.
It sounds very earthy to me. Like the strings really bring a very organic, earthy feel to me. Like if we think of a rapper's fucking drum machine, fucking drum beats versus
Dong, 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 dong.
versus or that the fake snare and the fake cymbals and hi-hat. That sounds really artificial. This is the opposite. Like this sounds like a 1978 Pearl kit that
it's definitely live drums.
yeah. No,
You couldn't duplicate that, and that sound is very indicative of Norwegian players. That sound is I've heard that same kit sound on so many different records.
but my analogy is mix it like the fake drum beat from a drum organic one from like a keyboard orchestral sounds versus the actual real thing. Like this definitely sounds organic. And sorry, Ihsahn, but you might have a one-off touring this, or maybe you'll tour like maybe Berlin or Munich and London and Paris, and
could totally see him doing that.
maybe you would do like 5 or 6 European shows, because you got to bring 20 other assholes with you to play the strings. And then maybe you'll come to America like you did this fucking summer and with Emperor, and they only played like 3 or 4 fucking shows. And they were way too sold out fucking immediately.
Apparently was read that he did collab with a real orchestra for this. So I guess my initial feelings on the matter are real, because I mean, I can now really kind of get a better sense of why it's a little bit more prominent in the mix. Because if you do turn up, electric shredding guitar with those runs, you're going to lose more of the strings than you are the guitar. So I get that, especially from an engineer standpoint, because you don't want to lose the tonality of both instruments, because electric guitar, you can still pick it out because it's fuzzy. Violins, cellos, not so easy to pick it out of a mix. Let's see. Yeah, the distance between us, the opening there is so beautifully dissonant. It reminded me of the opening to, let's say, a movie like Insidious. Just because it's so odd and backward and hard to follow, because it's not like a traditional riff would be. But if you look at it from that kind of spectrum, like some of the really weird horror movie music that happens, where strings are being used almost percussive like, but they're all just sometimes the notes to the ear doesn't make sense. But in this case, it was a great opening to what it becomes as you're going through it.
Yeah, probably the slowest track on the album. And I just wrote that it was slow and quite dark.
Absolutely.
Probably my favorite is probably Pilgrimage to Oblivion.
I love that song.
It's the third track. That's probably the heaviest track, and it's the most black metal track. So he starts off with an orchestral piece. He's like saying, hey guys, try this out for 2 minutes. And that's Service Venena. And then he goes with a almost all proggy piece that's heavy in the beginning with Between the Buried and Me, sounds a lot like Between the Buried and Me. And then for the second half, there's a little bit more of Opeth, like Heritage album, when Micah Ackerfeld stopped doing the dark, heavier vocals and he started singing cleanly. This sounds.
Mhm.
Ihsahn's voice is beautiful. It fits with prog really, really, really well. It fits these songs. Now, I'm not a big fan of Opeth, partially because, I mean, at least the new Opeth, because I'm fucking pissed at him for,
Right.
you know, do what Ihsahn has done and give us a mix of it if you really want to go clean and proggy. Like, still stay to your roots. Like, I'm pissed. Like, I don't care to see him again unless he starts growling again. Like, fuck that.
Yeah, a project like this is so, you know, it works. It's appropriate, but it's not overused either. You know what I mean? When you're used to, like you said, Opeth and what they normally, what they're known for, what we loved best about them, and they're not doing it anymore. It's like kind of a shocker to just come out and start doing all this clean singing, because I mean, definitely denutted that band without a doubt.
A lot of people said they should have changed their name, and I 100% believe Opeth should have changed their name when they denutted.
Agreed.
100%.
Because then you're saying this is a new thing.
Yep.
Just like Metallica should have fucking took the word metal out of their name and called themselves Succula.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're literally not the same band anymore. Period. With Ozzy, he never had to change the name of his band because you always knew that he was going to have some lighter tracks and some good pumping, fucking metal tracks. Not a big deal. But when you just come out of the fucking, woodwork like that, it throws everybody off. And you see what's happening to Slipknot. Same goddamn thing. So for him to do this record and let's definitely touch upon that unholy, beautiful, clean singing this guy is capable of.
Mm-hmm.
Blew me the fuck away. And I didn't hate it. See, usually I don't like a lot of mix of harsh vocals than, some clean in there. This didn't strike me as a popular radio type tune. This was appropriate for the beautiful orchestral piece that's going along with it. Anytime he sings clean on this, it's always really, really perfect. It doesn't sound like it's forced, like he's like, oh, looky what I can do. No, that's not what we're getting from that. And I think it was that, shit. Sorry. At the heart of all things broken. Holy crap.
Yep.
That's all I can say. I could literally listen to that 5 to 10 times easy and not hate it. And I love the more extreme. So that's got to tell you something.
Yeah, that's a song. It's the longest song. That one's over 9 minutes. Very proggy, very long, and very beautiful. Let's see, I
did it again. So Cody says Lars and the Count Succulas. I don't know if that's a word. Kind of made it up.
There is a song that I will always probably fast forward through because I just don't like it. As anybody who's watched these shows for a while, I am not an industrial fan.
Right.
And I do not.
I knew you were gonna bring it up.
I don't like Twice Born. Twice Born kind of sounds like carnival kind of clown music for a lot of it, and kind of industrial clown music. And not liking that. There are parts of it that it gets okay, but
I totally get why you don't like that song. this is kind of the way I look at it. I think the flavor artistically was to make it chaotic, odd, and give you that kind of sick vibe. You know what I mean? Because how many times do we see in some horror films that you have that creepy, eerie stuff? Like all of a sudden they throw in Tiny Tim in the background of like this really fucking malevolent scene in a film, and you just get the uber creepy vibes. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what he was trying to cover with just that song, because he doesn't really revisit it,
Yeah, it
which is
definitely
good. So it's small doses.
it stands out is different from all of the others. I would say Pilgrimage to Oblivion stands out as the more black metal, like traditional black metal, and probably the
Yes.
song. And the oddball is Twice Born, and that was one of the first ones that he released before the album came out Friday.
Really?
Yeah,
He
twice.
led with that?
Yeah.
Huh. Because one of my other initial feelings was that not only does this sound like one big orchestral composing kind of piece, like the entire record, but it also struck me as this could very easily be a soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I could totally see it being a sound, not just that song, but the album as a whole could be like a soundtrack for a film. Um, let's see here. Mousebong says, "Don't like industrial, but you love Godflesh."
Godflesh is so dark, and it doesn't have the same type of monotony. It has more variety to me, but just the way they use the dissonant tracks, the level of darkness got me through that. The atmosphere that Godflesh, like that's a fair point. Like I thought of that also. I've thought about that for years because I don't like industrial. Why do I like Godflesh so much? It is, but
It's
Godflesh is so much more heavy, and it's so much more dark and metal than industrial.
well, and that was an argument I was going to make. There truly is a thing known as good industrial and bad industrial. If you hate industrial in general, I get that. But like you said, Godflesh uses it in a way that it doesn't overshadow what they do. Then there's the Danzig 5 record.
Oh, no.
Best example for poor use of industrial samples or any kind of industrial feeling. And I got to agree with you there, Mousebong, because I did catch parts of that music video for Twice Born. It's very much like a film
Mm-hmm.
in a way, and it's a creepy film. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I was like, okay, I get it. I see where he was going. But yeah, I think maybe that was just his for him to lead off with that track, release that as a single. I bet you it was because he wanted to put it out there because it kind of identifies with the entire chaos of the whole record. That being the biggest standout, like, whoa, where the fuck did that come from? Maybe he was trying to get people a little bit of taste before they got there, and then that track didn't stand out and go, ooh, what the fuck was that? You know, he was kind of like letting people marinate with it before getting to it when they're going through the whole record. But brilliant track listing, by the way.
Yeah.
And again, leads me to this notion that he was looking at it from a composer standpoint and not a I was an emperor guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's very intelligent musically. And like I said, I kind of fell in love with him a little bit, not romantically, obviously, just to put that out there. When I was reading the article, as you know, the article was about black metal's dark past. and how he's one of the few remaining guys that didn't end up in that chaos of the burning of the churches, killing a band member. And he's just a very intelligent guy, like all the way around. So that's why when I was listening to this record, sure, it did kind of surprise me a lot. But it's that intelligent factor that tells me he's an intelligent musician as well. Like there's more dimensions to him than just here's the black metal record. you know, not surprised to see him experimenting that way. And then you said that his previous release, 2016, I think that was a way of kind of letting folks know where he was going musically, artistically. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't think Cradle of Filth could have ever pulled this type of record off.
No.
As beautiful as the female singer in their band can sing some amazing operatic style, kind of like beautiful, vocals. This is different. Because you got Danny Filth coming back on. It doesn't make sense sometimes. He'll be doing one of his little, high pitched squeal things, and then here's this beautiful, female voice over top of it. It kind of makes me laugh sometimes, but it's still very, very good. Here, like I wasn't laughing when I heard him do that at the Heart of All Things Broken tune. I was like very moved by it in a very dark way. I like that.
I will buy this album.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I need to listen to it several more times. Like the first time I listened to my favorite album of all time, which is Tool's Lateralis.
I knew you were going to say it.
It took me 3 or 4 listens before I started getting into it because the songs were so long and kind of repetitive, and I needed to be able to kind of, oh yeah, I remember that part, and kind of see how it all fit together to appreciate it. And then once I did, it was just an amazing album for me for more than a year. I listened to it almost every day. It was so good. But this is an album, like, it's very good. I absolutely see what he was doing. I think he's an absolute genius, but it doesn't have the extreme that I hunger for a lot, and it's a little odd. So and that's on me. Like, it's so different that it's going to
it's way different.
Take me a while to adapt to it a little bit more, but I can totally appreciate, because all 5 times I listened to it very intently and trying to pick up on what he's doing, and at the same time sit back and just enjoy the beauty in it, because it really is a beautiful album.
Well, and that's goes right along with there's always beauty within darkness. Sometimes it's hard to see. Sometimes it's hard to believe that you can find something like that that's pleasing to the ear within a black metal context. Let's see. We got thoughts on the track Blood Trails to Love. It's that sexy sounding one with Catatonia style clean vocals. Yeah, that one really stuck out as something I didn't think would actually get covered, like topic wise, but it did. But, going back into my brain in some of the darkest, craziest orchestral pieces I've ever played, because I did 8 years of symphony orchestra playing. Sometimes there's like that one song that just suddenly pops out of nowhere, and it introduces that romanticized emotion. I didn't mind it. I know you said Catatonia style clean. I felt it was appropriate. I loved the slow drums, that kind of went with it too. It was intense on a different level, I would say. And the fact that he kind of sang it that way, kind of like that balance between aggressive and not style, clean vocals. I actually appreciated it.
Yeah, I wrote about Blood Trails of Love, and that's probably my second favorite song. Is the Opeth like single note prog melody that
Yep.
runs. It definitely comes back at the tail end, about the last fifth of the song. But I thought
Hmm.
I wrote the vocal delivery reminds me of Michael Ackerfeld for the chorus, and it reminded me a lot of that, like the Heritage. And I did buy the next album, and then I haven't bought the last two because I was like, fuck you, double birds to Michael Ackerfeld, and I just don't like the new Opeth. And, and I wrote that this song to me is the most distinctly progressive out of all of them, and it's the most, I mean, proggy, and it's the most where I really hear a lot of Opeth and a lot of Between the Buried in me in it.
Absolutely. Arcane, I have to agree with you. I do wish Annabelle was still with Cradle of Filth, compared to who they have now. I thought she was better at it vocally, not as in presence or the way she looks. And that's one problem that Cradle of Filth has kind of always had, was they care way too much about image and being photogenic. Doesn't matter how much fucking talent you got. I mean, you saw when they nixed Nicholas Barker out of the band. He was the only hefty guy in the band.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't give him a good look. But yet, some of the best drumming. So, same thing. I wish she was still there too. I know there's a little bit more to that whole story, but I'm just saying,
Is that Hang on the Death of Love?
one more time.
Is that who sang the Death of Love for Cradle of Filth? Like in, I think,
Yes.
yeah, that's my favorite too. Was she also for Nymphetamine?
Yes.
Yeah. She was really good.
Powerful voice.
She was great. I love that Death of Love song. That's a song I like to share with people to get them into metal. If and especially girls, to hear a woman's voice in with metal, a clean woman's voice in with metal. When I taught high school, like kids often want to know what I was listening to, and that's when I would often share with them. I love that song. I don't care that it's their most commercial, and Roadrunner Records was probably really excited to have that
Well, of
song.
course.
I find that song
Or
really,
Amaranthine.
yeah.
That's another band that would probably, be a little bit easier on, girls' ears, I guess, if they weren't into metal beforehand. So
Nothing is too heavy for Mouse Bong's ears, though. Mouse Bong, a lot of it. Well,
for sure. Cody says, a band I enjoy that does growls and clean vocals, and I think you guys would like as well. It's called the Antichrist Imperium. I've heard good things. I haven't actually heard them yet, but they are on my radar. So I'm glad that you brought that up, brother. Yabelka says, I don't like the new girl. I was like, yeah, I'm right there with you. She just doesn't have what Annabelle had. And there's always probably some kind of drama somewhere behind the scenes. We don't know, but that's just typical of Cradle of Filth. They've had one of the biggest member changes of all time throughout that fucking band. It's like, fuck. You got rid of some of your best people. Shit. Let's see here. Mousebong says, when I saw COF, they had Sarah, Jezebel Diva, doing Vox. Her boob came out of her corset in front of me. I got a big old eyeful. Talk about one of the all-time oopsies. in metal. So she had a Janet Jackson moment. Okay.
Now, I had a guest on about a month ago that I think did that on purpose. It just kept coming and coming, and then it was out. And it stayed out a long time. Like the way she kept leaning forward in
Well, yeah,
in the
you know.
first place, I knew that was going to, or it was almost going to happen.
Mouse Bomb goes, yup, a little Janet Jackson moment. Yeah, although hers got ripped. So I don't
Yeah.
know. When you put a tearaway item on, you better make sure it works. I mean, imagine Justin Timberlake's, feeling at that particular moment in time. I don't know if he was like, oh, damn, you got it going on. Or, I didn't just do that. My career is dead. Man, I could go on all day long about what's wrong with the Super Bowl halftime show, but that's just me. Mouse Bong says, Janet Jackson was the first nipple shield I ever saw. Yabelka says, she doesn't sing. Not really. But so, yeah. Cradle of Filth, bad. But back to Ihsahn. What did you think the total concept, what is being conveyed lyrically, did you pick up from this record? Because I've only listened to it a couple times. Some things I'm picking out, but then I get confused. Or do you think they're individual stories?
I think it's overall just about life. It's like what we go through. Like the Twice Born song that I don't care for so much. That's the fucking crazy that makes us feel kind of manic.
Yeah. Always feeling like you're, hobbling on a tight wire.
Yeah. Like, and then, like, there was one song, it's a Taste of the Ambrosia.
Yeah.
This song has a lot of melancholy in it.
Yep.
It's very melancholic. I wrote that one's very Opeth-like with beautiful melancholic. The vocals seemed a little bit thin and strained. At the half mark, it's very orchestral and masterfully done. It returns to the melancholic melody at the end again. So like it's really like a roller coaster, and I think the proggy parts are the more uplifting and kind of the happier parts of your life, and then the black metal can be the darker, and then it gets melancholic, crazy, orchestral is maybe a moment of clarity that you're having, especially with that anima extraneae.
Yeah.
It's just a really masterful, thoughtful, eccentric. Like I'm just so impressed. Like I would love to meet Ihsahn and just talk. Yeah, hey, you could get him on for Reaper's Underground.
Yeah. Like I said, especially after reading that interview with him and kind of hearing his thoughts, about, the black metal scene, things, how they were back then. And that he's like, you can still fight the good fight without having to really make your point.
Mhm.
I really appreciated that because, you look at it like guys like Nurgle, who is very outspoken and still very much like I'm on the constant fight, against oppression, religious oppression. But Ihsahn's kind of like the Anton of Norway. He's just kind of like sitting back in the fray. He gets his point across, but he's not hammering it. So like it takes somebody to really think about it, to really kind of like grasp what he's saying, read between the lines kind of thing. And that's fine because what do we know about black metal? Everything is shock, shock, shock in your face. I mean, even through what I do just as my Reaper persona, I mean, sure, I may be a poster child for Satanism, but I'm not like hammering every second, every post. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody gets the idea. I mean, come on. It's obvious. But you know what I mean? I like that kind of like, hit them from behind enemy lines. People will get it, and especially intellectually. Now this is really interesting. Mousebong sees it as kind of a hero's journey.
Yeah,
There could be some Viking Norse ideology behind it. Just as far as to go as saying, their only path to Valhalla is to die in battle, but you must have your weapon in your hand, otherwise you can't go.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how pressureful that would be. You're day-to-day fighting just for survival. And if you fall in battle and you don't have your weapon in your hand, you won't get your seat at the table with Odin. That's heavy. You know what I mean? One of my favorite shows that was on Netflix, Last Kingdom. All through the movie, they are constantly fighting against Christian England and how they're just trying to stamp out the heathen. And every time they get into a battle, one of the main characters for at least a little while before they get killed off, you see somebody, they show him get hit. He falls to the ground. He doesn't have his weapon in his hand anymore. Somebody, other main character comes along and hurries up and puts that fucking weapon in their hand. Think about how much of a struggle that is, and just like day-to-day survival. So that leads me to think that what you were saying also makes a lot of sense. Day-to-day life. Is day-to-day life not a fucking struggle? Hell yeah, it is. Black metal doesn't really encompass that.
No.
It's all tales of the abyss, and we're all gonna, walk off into a blazing hell glory, which I'm all for that. But this is different. I like this.
Well, maybe atmospheric black metal is going to use the earth as kind of a beautiful form of darkness, and cold, and danger that we live with. I could see that. But I want to bring up a quote. Nurgle, I just read it probably or saw it 4 months ago. And Nurgle said this, and it's so fucking true. And like you've heard me say, I'm pretty much bored with most black metal.
Right. It's the same shit.
Similar. I don't hear anything new. Like I want to hear something innovative. So I like the kind of avant-garde black metal. And what Nurgle said, and it sounded real asshole-ish and pompous, but it's not. Like if you don't kill the messenger, it really isn't. And he just said, there are way too many metal bands today. And I think what he's really saying is there's so many and they're just kind of doing the same thing over and over again. I'm just like, why even play unless you want to go, okay, you want to go be a cover band. Okay, that could be fun. But you want to be doing something that's like, not just, okay, yeah, they're a little bit different than so-and-so, but man, I want people to say, man, that's fucking different. That's what a new coupling of something. They're really trying to pioneer into some new ground. And I totally agree with Nurgle. I don't think he's arrogant at all. It's so fucking true. These bands should be challenged and record labels shouldn't just fucking sign everybody. There's too many fucking record labels too, because they're feeding this kind of oversaturation of the music market.
That's always been their way. That's how they make money. When one or two major prolific bands make a mark and it catches like wildfire, the first thing that a record label is going to do is, let's buy up as many of these as we can, because we may get 10 of them and the rest all fall away. But those 10 will make us rich. That's been the fucking formula for literally every genre of music ever. I'd say going back to the 50s, really. Let's see here. Yes, Mouse Bong, I agree with this. Says where he mentions sacred hallways and altars. That definitely sounds like Norse path stuff, the path of the heathen, which is awesome. And I did kind of catch that too. I think that was in, yeah, the song "Taste of Ambrosia." She mentions that one, and then "Hubris and the Blue Devils." She says might be a battle story because he speaks of the adversary, the opponent, worst enemy. Well, that's where I'm talking about that intelligent way of basically getting the satanic philosophy across without, sure, we would all love to see, crosses removed and upside down crosses in place, such as the great Magus Anton always dreamed of seeing that versus all of what we see all the time, and that just kind of falls away. I see what you're saying there, Arcane. Maybe we should hammer the Satan idea home, and that's okay. We do. It's putting the truth out there that really brings them down because they can't fight it.
Yeah, it's just us. Like, I love being the adversary.
Oh, absolutely.
Challenging the bullshit, all of the bullshit imagination. I love the hammer in the destruction, the conjuration of destruction. I love the compassion in the other conjuration, the conjuration of compassion. We have the conjuration of lust, for love. Like, those are the most important things. We all want to be human. We want to love. We don't want to be fucked with. We need to fucking hit somebody over the head with a fucking sledgehammer if they fuck with us. And we want to have action. We don't want to hurt people, but I love being the adversary in challenging bullshit.
Exactly.
Thank
Anton even says in the Satanic Bible, a true Satanist is not easily recognized as being one. Says that for a reason. It's superior mental attitude. It's being connected. It's mastering yourself. You know what I mean? And when we do bite, it's like a million wolves all at once. So isn't it not satanic to necessarily, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to see a church burn. I would love to see that. But if it means taking away your freedom, well, that's not very satanic because then we can't continue forward to show, the truth about life. That's probably the best way I can put it. Thank you. Cody gets it. Pushing Satanism without pushing it in a Christianity type of way. That's right. You see the Church of Satan, symbol here, and I wear it proudly out in the open. I don't hide it. I don't hide it from anybody. I don't have to. Nobody does. Upside down cross. Why? What is the point? You know what I mean? There's no shame. There doesn't have to be. Even in music, I can tell you so many different bands that are very, very much Satanist that they don't really push it in the, let's take Christ and burn him over an open fire. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's great. I would love to see it in a movie. That would make me feel fantastic. But I don't want to exactly, take myself off the street.
And there's so much misconception about what Satanism is, what a Satan
That's
is.
right.
And it's huge, and it's pushed by the church because, as Anton said, we are the best friend they've ever had. But
Because they created him.
another thing that Anton teaches is education, knowing all kinds of religion and being able to counter the bullshit. But he's all about education for us. Don't be an ignorant scrub. Fucking feel.
That is absolutely perfect. Oh, wait a minute now. Here we go. They want to shut my account on TikTok because of these damn religious people. They got offended with the latest video I posted. You know what? I have been getting messages and messages all over the place because so many of us are constantly, posting such things. And there's a lot of really great memes out there. Believe me, if you've watched the goddamn program, you know what we're all about. And it's because of the Christian machine, as I like to call it. They're looking for accounts. I swear there's like some fucking nerd sitting somewhere looking for every, religion bashing thing they can find and shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. It's like, you've been persecuting us since the dawn of time. And now that everyone is realizing that the Christian spell, if you will, doesn't work anymore. We don't fear something that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have to. The only motherfucker you have to fucking convince that you're a good person is the one you look in the mirror every day. And Anton knew that.
And another thing I want to add to that is we focus on Christianity so much, but the big beast that's coming that to me is much more aggressive than Christianity is Islam. I lived in Saudi Arabia for 3 fucking years. I fucking know. I had to live there. It's so fucking oppressive. It is oppressive to a whole new level, almost kind of like a Handmaid's Tale level.
Oof, yeah.
Like that bad, but it's approaching that.
Right.
It's really bad. And the level of ignorance and arrogance and pushiness is way beyond Christianity. And in America, we're fucking crazy. We have some nutty fucking Christians. But it's Islam. Watch out. What Islam does, Islam has a 50 to 150-year plan to take over the world with the caliphate. And so what they do is they pick, so you can see this happening in London. They pick a section, and this is not xenophobia. I fucking lived there for 3 fucking years. I have been through the Quran 2 full times and almost a 3rd time, and I've written in my Quran so much. I'm pointing out the bullshit that's in there. Their plan, I taught with Muslims from Jordan, from Palestine, from Egypt, from Saudi Arabia, from Syria. When we had lunch, I asked them tough questions all the time because I was reading the Quran and the Hadith, the books of the Hadith. And so I was all this stuff. And like I'm telling you, they have a 50 to 150-year plan. I have a book written by an ex-extremist who spent many years in an Egyptian jail for being a Muslim extremist. He was caught by the Egyptian government, and now he's a big advocate against it. He still calls himself a Muslim, but he's not for. But I don't see how he's not an extremist while being a Muslim if you actually read the Quran and you read the Hadith. But this shit, like they're gonna take over.
He's picking out the lighter stuff versus the more hardcore stuff.
Yeah. Years to come, what they do is they do this on purpose, is the community. And then that community grows because they have babies like crazy. If you've been to the UAE, I've been to all the I've been to all of the countries in the Middle East except for Yemen because it was too dangerous for Americans to go to.
Right.
But they are breeding like crazy, and that's their plan, is to outbreed everybody else while focusing on poor people who can't read. So when I lived in Saudi Arabia, they don't want to debate you on scriptures or things like that. They don't want to be challenged on, hey, what does this really mean to you? They say, oh, you need to go to the imam and have the imam. Well, what the imam's going to do is try to power over you and say you just don't, or you got a bad translation. I'm like, no, I don't get it. I didn't get a bad translation. My English translation was approved in one of the most oppressive and controlling countries in the world, Saudi Arabia. Their bookstores, you're allowed to bring a personal Bible, but you're not allowed to bring all kinds of other stuff there. Like, they don't want Christianity there either.
Oh, they don't want anyone to have individual thought.
Yeah, I go on and on. First album, the song Bromancipation, that is about my stay, and it's real edgy in Saudi Arabia.
I'll tell you what, Arcane, check me out. I'll get you a right and proper one. But the fact that you made one yourself is awesome.
Yeah, this is mine, and me loves it.
Absolutely. And it's not about flair or flash. It's just that's my heart. You know what I mean? That's all of our hearts. Whether you're Wiccan, a green witch, it doesn't matter. A pagan, multi-pagan, doesn't matter. If it's your heart, it's your heart. And there are things that actually, when you study all these different cultures and stuff, and true pagan beliefs, a lot of the same stuff was already there. Anton knew this, and he brought it together. And that's why I spent the past 30 years learning as many earth-based religions as I possibly could. They're not even religions, guys. They're just beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing organized about it.
Like,
are there those that try to organize it? Yes. But in the end, it's all about you kneel before no one. Not, there is only you. You are the master. No one is a master over you.
And we are atheists. Almost all of these people, like there's a death metalcore band that I play for right now here locally, and they're all Christians, big time Christians.
I'm so sorry.
And so I'm biting my tongue all the time. And so I've encouraged them. I told them about this show, so maybe they'll watch this, because like they said something last night. I just said, you know what? So many people don't even know what they're talking about. If I said, tell me about Satanism, they're going to say, oh, it's devil worship.
Two different things.
Yeah, they won't say anything about atheism. They don't understand the conjuration of compassion. They don't understand the conjuration of destruction, or the conjuration.
Because they didn't read it.
Yeah.
They don't recognize energy. They only believe in one divine energy, and that's the problem.
Well, they're only parroting what we've heard from these big televangelists, the bullshit we've had years and years and years.
The motherfucking Pope, since the beginning of that whole regime, as I like to call it, started it many, many moons ago. They planted that there. If it's different, if it goes against us, it's the work of the devil.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out if you dig to the middle of the earth, there's no red pointy monster waiting down there to roast you and have you for barbecue. But it's also, like Nurgle said, tying this all back to what we were talking about with Ihsahn's new record, is that the more blasphemous, the better. I had Magister Bill M on, back in 2023. So if you, go back and watch that interview, it's literally right there. He says, because I asked him, I said, what do you think of black metal? And he says, well, it's not my type of music, but the more blasphemous, the better. And he meant that in every sense of the word, because blaspheming is just spitting in the eye of every stupid motherfucker out there. So if black metal bands want to be doing that, fine, great. Don't throw severed pigs' heads at other crowd members, because that's no fun. But if you want to decorate, you're more than welcome. And who doesn't like a fantasy? Who doesn't like a good fantasy? It's one of those things. If you can see it, if you've witnessed it, you've been there and you felt it, then it was real for you. But if you don't, then it doesn't. So I think Ihsahn's depth in this record really kind of does stem, like he's feeling his pagan roots, his heathen roots. It's there. Mousebong really kind of hit the nail on the donkey there, in some of those tunes. So it very much could be kind of centered around just feeling more connected to his homeland, where his people come from. And that's why you see such a great resurgence of those beliefs. Ain't nothing fucking wrong with it. The way he ties the strings in with this project, again, ballsy as fuck.
Mm-hmm. And clever. Super.
Extremely. Very, very intelligent. So yeah, if we could ever get him on the underground, shit, that'd be awesome. Arcane says, no, but there's plenty of death in the core of the earth. Well, yeah, it's full of hot magma. Even if you got 10 feet from it, you'd probably burn in flames. So sure, why not add a red, pointy-eared horned devil down there that they stole from the pagans to say that is him? So yeah. Be yourself, for you, for no one else.
I'm getting
Be unapologetic about it.
I'm getting a little chilly in here.
Mousebong says, damn, that would be an epic guest. You are correct. And as I understand, we are still trying to get Rune Blasphemer onto the show. I think they've seen the error of their ways. It was a management thing. So we're definitely going to try to get that rescheduled. So that could be coming up as well. Shoot, what do we got this week coming up? We got the goddamn program this Saturday.
And I've actually shared a couple of things that I hope make the cut.
Oh, I personally feel that they will make great additions to the craziest, most chaotic, most insane show on the network. I have also coming up on Reaper's Underground on the 28th. We're welcoming back Dark Creed's Productions back to the show. I interviewed her, I think almost well over a year ago. But she's been tearing it up in Atlanta with her horror shorts, and she's got a tasty one coming up called Vile. And it's gonna be awesome. That's coming up. I also have actor cosplayer Doug Bayless coming on March 1st, but that's a little ways away. So that is what we are looking forward to in the next couple weeks. So definitely check us out on Saturday. It's a great time.
I have a couple more as well. Abattoir. I'm friends with Kirsten. He's the guitarist and the founder of Abattoir. They're out of Atlanta. Beautiful, amazing tech death.
Ooh.
Really good tech death. And they have a new album coming out and it sounds outstanding. The production is great. It's so interesting to listen to. They're all over the place. That's great. And then Mother of Graves wants to come on as well.
Yes, we will definitely be making that happen.
And they are beautiful, melancholic, melodic, kind of death doom, almost kind of like slow atmospheric black metal at times as well. But Mother of Graves are great. They were on Wise Blood Records and now have just been signed to Profound Lore Records, and they're great. I'm friends with the guitarist from them, and that we can get them on as well. So that'll be.
Yeah, I remember helping to promote them when me and Black Tar were coming up back in the day. So it's great to see, where they've gone and furthering themselves. Just a great bunch of guys. Cody really hit it here on the head. He said, that's why these shows are so fun. We have metal, horror, blasphemy, and taint tickling. You know who's been silent? Where the fuck did Babylon go? Did you tie one on so bad that you just fell asleep? I mean, you started. I mean, there's a hashtag now. Hashtag taint tickling.
Yes.
You know what that means? I got to come up with a tasty little bit to solidify that into Morgrot entertainment history. just as we did as far as the Mommy Milkers Monday.
We've got a lot of other days. We need some originality for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday too.
Oh shit! You guys make my job so much more fun. Because I'm a comedian at heart, and I have the biggest, darkest humor in the world. So I'm sure I could probably come up with some more things for the days to come. But I'm pretty sure. Well, shit. I made 2 versions of that video, by the way. So we could probably show it again on Saturday if we really wanted to. But yeah, that's our synopsis on Ihsahn's new record. I don't know. I highly recommend checking it out, because if you guys, obviously fans of extreme metal, black metal, but also kind of a classical fan at the same time, this record is probably the best example I could ever think of bringing the two together. Because, like I said, fan of Old Man's Child, or even Cradle of Filth, or Godflesh Apocalypse, even, because they are very symphonic laden. This is not too far out of your wheelhouse. I really don't think so. Are there moments in there that are just kind of like, what the hell happened? Sure. But if you give it an honest to goodness listen once or twice, I think you'll find some favorites out of it. Is it a front to back kind of record for some of us? Probably not. And that's okay, because there are things we like and things we don't like. That's just the way it is. So, just like Hoofbeast said, there's a couple of tracks on there, not something that you really enjoy. But when you let it sit with you, you never know. You might actually be like, this is kind of cutting edge, because personally, especially in the realm of black metal, this is very cutting edge, because you never thought you'd find any like beautifulness in black metal. It's almost also always fucking brutality. And I just envision like little demon goblins, nailing people to upside down crosses and stuff, which is great. That's fine. I love that shit. But there's only some of these bands that are super great at it. And as far as I'm concerned, so far, Ihsahn is the best at what he's doing, because I've never heard this come out of anybody else.
I recommend I think most of the people on here are super dedicated to metal and super dedicated to
In
music
general, yeah.
in a creative way, in a critical way. And I think everybody here will enjoy that.
Absolutely. So, you don't necessarily have to take our word for it, but at least try it.
You know, one other thing I want to say is you don't, this album isn't loaded with um, virtuistic, um, like showing off. There's no guitar
None.
wankery. There's
Mm-mm.
no showing off. It's all clever arrangement. It's a clever composition, clever feel, if you will. There's no showing off. Just like in classical music, you don't hear a whole lot of showing off. It's about everything together, the feel, the atmosphere, and the impact.
Yeah, it's like every section of, that symphony or orchestra and how all the parts work together. And certain sections do have their time to shine. I mean, there's a beautiful piano opening to one of these tracks that I was just like, damn, that's a really good concert pianist. You know what I mean? So kind of be open to it, try to soak it in a little bit, see what's speaking to you, and really kind of, that's why I wanted to take that moment to explore what everyone thinks it's about. Because I mean, sure, the album cover itself, and I'll show it one more time, kind of like already paints a picture for you. It's a natural animal, in nature. That's it. That's all you're getting. You don't even have the animal's face to even kind of like give you a mood. It's just the horns and nature. So it's like, well, that's not very characteristic of black metal, now is it? There's usually some tortured being on the front, or some kind of apocalypse, which is cool. But be open to it. Definitely headphones on this one, guys. Don't try to jam it out, the unconventional way. Definitely, that's the way you're going to kind of like get the whole picture of the artistry. So we thank you guys a fuck ton, and I mean that in every sense of the word. Every single week, the addicts are showing up, and it's absolutely amazeballs. And we appreciate you guys. And I love hearing from you guys. We both do. Your thoughts on every aspect, because art is art, whether it's music, it's handmade, it's art at the end of the day. And it's great to get those perspectives, especially on such an explorative record like this. So we appreciate you guys showing up and just having a great time with us and choosing us as your Mommy Milkers Monday show that you want to watch at the end of the day. I'm still getting used to the title, but damn it, the video is great. And, most important thing is, like we're always saying, challenge yourself as a listener, as a metalhead. And because, I mean, at the same time, hail Satan and stay heavy.